What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Robert Graves bringing you another episode of Year of the Vets. And actually, thank you for tuning back in because you know better than I that this is part 2 to a two-parter. And so we're jumping right back into a conversation that we started last week with Joe Sapien, the local VSO living legend in the San Fernando Valley. And we're just going to get right back into it. I probably will say for this one, jump back to the first one before you get into the second one. It's not that it's absolutely needed, but this is such a fun conversation that you just kind of just want to go with the whole flow of the conversation, how it was meant to be. So before we get into the conversation, I do want to ask that you make your way over to all my social media platforms. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all Year of the Vet. Engage with each other. Really, I'm looking to build the Year of the Vet family into a community that just supports each other. No strings attached. If you feel like you have a cause that you want to put onto the Year of the Vet Facebook page, so everybody can see and chip in, by all means, my platform is your platform. If you want to let us know that you've got engaged or that your little girl's going to college, because that's what's going on right now. You know, just engage with each other on the Year of the Vet Facebook page. Share the podcast, subscribe, and write a review. And so as we're trying to get off the ground as a family, I need all the help I can get. So really engage with me and share the show and let me know how I'm doing. And give me feedback on the show, because really it's just me behind a microphone, and sometimes I get lucky enough to get guests in studio. And this is one of those times. So without further ado, Joe Sapien Part 2. Like I said, I don't know how I got that right. But
right.
It's just a matter of peeking my head in the door. And that's how I found the DAV.
Yeah,
you know,
and then somebody recognizes what
yeah.
you're doing and says, hey, this dude is legit, he deserves this. Because, like, I promise you, like, why did I become veteran of the game, man? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've noticed now, though, like, if you go to the games now, it's called military, like, veteran of the game or something. Like, they changed it, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. But, like, but they changed the wording of it. And so, like, maybe it's now because they want more guys in uniform. But, like, if you look, like, there's probably only, like...
You set the bar for not wearing a uniform. Thanks a lot.
I know, right? Like, because I think, like, I bet you since, like, their whole history, there's only been, like, 5 of us that didn't walk in there with a uniform. Like, and of course, one of them's me. Like, and I got, like, a giant head, right? Like a like a big blow pop head, you know? Like the Jack in the Box commercials. Remember his son, like, when he was like, that's my son, number 54? Like, yeah. And, like...
Come on, man. It's... Realistically, you're pretty much proportioned. It's not big. You must have heard that, like, all while you were growing up, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why you think that.
No, for sure. I definitely do have a big head. Like, my hat size proves that. Like,
what is it?
I think it's 7 3/4.
See, I got it. Well,
yeah, 7 3/4.
That's
like,
the same. I'm the same hat size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you hear it too, you know?
No, I never hear it.
Really? No, are you serious?
Never.
Dude. So to prove this point, my little niece turned 3, right? And so she got a little bicycle helmet. The helmet doesn't fit her head already, dude. Yeah. It fits her aunt who's like in her 40s. And it fit her dead on. You know? But if you have my blood, you gotta have a big ass head. Like, but like, so we're at the Dodger thing, you know, and you're like, have your hand over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance, and the cameraman's behind me to like zoom in like this to get to the flag, right? But I swear to God, it took like 40 seconds to get past my big ass head to see the flag. And it's on this jumbo screen thing, and you're just like, dude, what the hell? Like, and so you're standing there like this trying to be cool, you know, and you're just like, that big ass head, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
magnified by 50, you know.
Yeah, so like everybody in the damn world's like, dude, what the hell? Like, just eclipse half the like infield. Like,
clown.
Yeah, you know, like, you're just like, oh man. Like, even my girl was just laughing at me about that.
All right. So, your role is to assist vets and their families filing claims, right?
Yeah.
And so, we're talking about disability claims.
Missing medals.
Pension. Yeah, missing medals.
Discharge upgrades.
home loan stuff, right?
A little bit with the home loans. Like, I could apply for you.
Yeah.
But I really think when it comes to that, you should really talk to a real estate agent.
Okay.
You know, because then there's so many different variables. Like, I could get you the guarantee, like, little certificate saying, yeah, this dude's legit.
Yeah.
But after that, you really want to talk to somebody who does that stuff, because when it comes to, like, home loans, kind of hard. Yeah. Because there's so many different variables.
So, what are some of the benefits that we don't hear about that would be of interest to other vets?
I would say the biggest one that I'm in love with is the California college fee waiver. And that's for your kids. And for
your CALVet, right?
Yeah. And it's all through this for the state of California. And if you're 100%, then your wife can use it too. And the thing I like about that is what you see now, especially now, no matter where you're at, is like you see these kids. Imagine if you have a kid that's decent enough to go to college. Mm-hmm. You know, he's doing everything right. And then even now he graduates college and he's doing everything right. But by the time he gets that degree, he owes 100, 200 grand before he even got a job. And you're like, how is that being respectable for somebody who's doing everything right? Mm-hmm. And so to me, it's like if we get these kids on this college fee waiver, because you could have 20 kids and they'll all fall under it, you know? And so if we get these kids on this college waiver, then it doesn't matter if they get their master's or their doctor's degree in 15th century ballet. Cool, handle it, you know?
Does it pay up to, how far does it go?
It could go as high as it wants. So if you want to get your doctor's degree, handle it. You know, there's nothing in the law that says you have to stop. Mm-hmm. The major thing is if you're under the 100%, then the child has to stay under the low income limit. So like right now, I believe it's like 12,300, 12,600, somewhere around there. But other than that, they're good to go. Yeah. So they could still get financial aid. And I always tell my kids, you know, go be a bartender or a waiter and pocket the tips. Yeah. You know, so you could make a little more money out of it. Yeah. But like, if you could get them to avoid student loans, then man, they have one hell of an advantage. Yeah. Because, like, imagine, like, I always tell guys, it's maybe me and you aren't geniuses and we go nowhere. But if I sit here and help you out for 15 minutes and we get you that 10% and your kid becomes a doctor and does my heart surgery, yeah, who's more thankful, me or you? Yeah. You know, I'm going to be thankful as hell I spent 15 minutes with you. And so, like, I believe those ripples are huge. And so I think the college waiver is one of those big things that we could actually change the way California is, you know, when it comes to our kids. Yeah. And when it comes to veterans, most veterans have 1 or 2 or 3 kids. You know, one of my dudes has 7. And like, yeah, and he's all about it, man. And he's a great dude. Like, but he's like he's 35, you know?
Bishop Herman that I was talking about, 12 kids.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, like, I could barely deal with my dog. Yeah. You know? I do think you should have kids. Like, I don't have any yet.
12 kids, man.
But yeah, man, like, I don't know what you're trying to build. Like,
yeah, right?
You know, like what's going on here, man?
What sport needs 12 people on the field?
Yeah, like, or you're just like, oh, that one didn't work out. We need a new one.
I worked with a guy who had I think he had 7 girls before he had his first boy.
My friend Brian. Yeah. We're a month apart. He was born in September. I was born in October. And this dude has like 5-6 kids, and his very last one was a boy. Oh no. Yeah. Nothing but girls.
Was he trying? Is that what happened?
I think he digs it. Yeah, like some people really love it, you know, because like my other friend that has 7, he is all about the family. Yeah. Like, and it's incredible. I'm
worried about feeding my family right now.
Yeah, dude, like, when I walk my dog, I'm a stress ball. Like, I can't imagine having 7 kids running around because, dude.
I said the other day, I go, that's 2 minivans.
Yeah. Yeah. Going to Denny's is going to cost.
Get on the bus.
Like, you know, like, you can't go to McDonald's and not drop 100.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Whew. Yeah. Oh, no, we're not going to the movies, guys. No.
Yeah. Like, man, that's got, but you see guys can do it, you know, and so I do think
if there's a will, there's a way.
There's that personality that you need, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, cause I do want kids, but I'm always worried, you know, like with the anthrax shots and stuff, like when if something like messes them up, you know, cause that was a big thing that we were all worried about. Yeah. And especially when I was in, that's when everybody was like afraid of like the shot, like your shots and stuff, given like autism and things. Yeah. And so like that was certainly in the back of your head at the time. But yeah, you're always worried as a vet, like, what did all those shots and all this junk mean, and is it gonna fall on my kid? You know,
it's scary.
Yeah.
In my MOS, I fixed radars in the service.
Oh, so yeah, see, I was running in front of him the whole damn time. Yeah.
And the whole mindset is that the majority of individuals in our MOS have girls, so they're saying that the radiation kills the Y chromosome, and so like we had a boy, and I was like, thank you, Lord. But there's a joke, like if you have a boy, then you weren't working. So that's the joke, right? But it's kind of going back to what you were saying, the benefit of the doubt, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously, I can't claim not having boys, but a buddy of mine had a tumor the size of a softball,
Right,
in his head that he had to take out just 3 years ago,
right.
And I was like, yeah, he's not service connected. I've been trying to get him to get
Right.
in, and I was like, you got to get in there and get this situated. Oh man, the VSO's been sending me away, this, that, and the other. It's
That
like,
always blows my mind.
yeah,
because how, like, you're not asking me to lift your refrigerator.
Yeah.
Like, I have family that, like, does construction and everything. You're like, that's hard.
Yeah.
Doing roofing right now, that's a hard job.
Yeah.
Like, me doing paperwork and hanging out with somebody who's an honorable vet, like, what the hell? Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I've never understood that. And that does kill me when you see a service officer like, oh, you hurt your knee, cool. Here's the claim, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And, you're not giving them potential, you're not giving them anything. And it's like, it's so strange when you hear that. I don't understand that. I really don't.
So, what's another benefit that we might not know about?
A good one, I guess, for us, what we're talking about was the caregiver benefit for the 9/11 vets.
That's right.
I think it's hard for us to believe that the VA would pay us, to get the caregiver benefit over a World War II or Korean vet.
Yeah.
So like it's hard for us to imagine that, but when it comes to the basic needs of a veteran, even at our age, it's a true thing. Because like with your wife, with my wife, like they have to deal with a lot of BS when it comes with us.
Yeah.
We're not easy people to get along with 24/7. And we're kind of stubborn and picky about certain things.
Yes.
My
wife would vouch for that.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And so at least I think when it comes to that, one, there's money involved, but two, I think the bigger thing that I really enjoy is like it's acknowledging that spouse of what they're doing. So there's some kind of acknowledgement there where like a lot of the times I think, the VA does a lot for veterans, but not necessarily for the family. So like, how do I convince you to stay with me if I'm going through all my BS, but no one's caring about yours?
Yeah.
So at least when it comes to the caregiver program, I think it does recognize what the spouses are going through. And I think that helps keep the family together a little bit stronger.
Yeah. And even to kind of expand on that, right? Because the DAV national commander is a quadriplegic, right? He was in the Coast Guard, and he didn't lose his limbs in war. He had a bacteria that infected his body that they had to cut his stuff off.
Yeah.
And, he's I think he'd be like 60, close to 60 years old. Close, maybe 50. I don't know. Don't slap my hands if you're listening.
You're going to get an email for that.
But his wife, his wife has to take care of him. And they're leading that fight right now up in Washington for his caregivers.
Yeah.
To be the caregivers pre 9/11 to be taken care of.
And I've thought that would always go through even from the beginning, because you're like, that's strange, and it's really one of those weird benefits where you're like, of all the things, this is the one that feels odd.
Yeah.
Just because of how young we still believe we are.
Yeah.
And when you look at a World War II vet, because like the thing that bothers me is like you can't sit here and say, oh, greatest generation ever, and then just ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to clap for somebody. It's easy to say, oh, good job. But what are you doing past that?
Mm-hmm.
And what I see, like even assisted living, a cheap assisted living facility is about $5,000 a month, And so like, let's say like something happens and you have a stroke and you're still paying off the house. Now you're in assisted living. Your wife is still here.
And she's got to pay for.
Yeah. And I don't care who you are. You don't have that kind of money. Just be blowing.
Yeah.
And to me, the World War II guys, like the sad thing is like, they're not going to be around much longer.
Yeah.
So respect these people.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Because if you could blow $1 billion on one jet that's just parked because it's too scary, like, help this dude out.
Yeah.
Show him some honor.
Yeah.
Because he showed his honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
didn't ask for anything.
Man, I'd tell you, like, if I was a World War II vet, I think I'd be so incredibly crazy. You know, like, because the little war that I was in, you know, the little spot I was in, like, it affected me. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But those guys were, like, you know, 2 years deployed, fighting every single day. Their jackets weren't as good as ours, you know, so, like, they were colder. They were, like, man, they had to go through so much.
Yeah.
And you're talking young dudes. Like, I talked to one guy who lied about his age, and he was 14, you know, and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, and so, like, you don't see men like that.
Yeah.
And so, respect them.
Yeah.
Like, they are incredible people. They really are.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when it comes to this job. And, like, I'm so blessed to be able to just sit down and BS with them and just hang out, you know, and I really feel like we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, like, I could do claims, yeah, whatever, but, like, to know about this guy's background, to be a part of his family, to be given the opportunity for them to open up about things they've never told their own wives.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a blessing. It's an incredible thing to see.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't take it lightly. You know, I really believe, like, these people are just the most incredible things you ever seen in life. And, like, for the vast majority of Americans, you just kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They sweep them on right on.
Yeah, because it's easy to go watch a movie and say, oh, wow, cool. And then you just go on with your life.
Yeah.
Like, nah, like, they're incredible people if you just sit down and talk to them. You know? Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, where are we at? Let's break apart some myths.
Yeah.
We already talked about CALVet, right? Can all children go to school via CALVet?
Oh, yeah.
So,
step kids, adopted kids, you know, kids that are, let's say you get conservatorship, you know, something like that, yeah. So, like, say you have a really, really smart niece, you know, but no one could afford UCLA. If you become, like, the conservatorship or you become, like, her guardian, you know, legally, she could fall under you. Okay. Yeah. And a World War II vet taught me that. Yeah.
And what's the age limit?
When it comes
like 20 something, right?
When it comes to the CALVet loan for the home or for the college waiver, I don't think there's really an age limit. It's really just about your income. Okay. So you don't want to be 90 years old and making $12,000, you know? Yeah. But I think when it comes to Plan A, I think it's 26, 27.
And that's in the CALVet handbook online. Yeah. If you need to look for it. So.
Yeah, there's 4 different plans, but most people fall under Plan A and Plan B. Yeah. And 90% of people are going to fall under Plan B. Yeah. Yeah.
Can your spouse go to college if they were with you in the service? If they were not with you in the service?
If we get you at the 100%, yeah. Yeah. And I know it sounds wild when you hear 100%, but it's really not as wild as you think. Yeah. You know, it doesn't have to be these wild conditions or anything. It could be something what we consider basic for the most part. Yeah. Yeah.
Basic being
PTSD, like, cause like a lot of people think we're crazy or wild or whatever, but like when you're talking to another vet, we just kind of smile and laugh, you know? Yeah. We're just like, yeah, whatever, you're all right, you know? So like, I guess the rest of the world thinks we're a little off, but like I think the majority of us are just like, oh, you're all right, you know? And so like when it comes to PTSD, I think we're used to that type of thing, you know, depression, anxiety, and so you could hit a high percentage off of that. Just being your natural self, because that's who we are. Mm-hmm. Headaches could be a high percentage. The TBI could be a high percentage. The funny one that I think is the sweaty hands. It's called the hyperhidrosis, and the sweaty hands could be 30%. So before this guy even says my knees, my back, my shoulders, you could hit these high levels that are what we kind of assume are basic, you know. And they don't have to, like, allergies is a big one for us. Like, yeah, so they don't have to be diabetes or heart attacks or anything like that. It could just be that basic stuff.
Do the VA ratings ever get down? Okay, the myth. VA ratings never get downgraded.
That is absolutely a myth. They're messing with one of my World War II vets right now. That's incredibly offending me. So,
okay. Before you even get into that. Yeah. Did he have to go get reevaluated for something or?
No, he just got a letter,
He got a letter?
Yeah.
After how long?
About 4 years, 3 years.
Mm.
You know, usually when they want to reevaluate you is within that 3 to 5 year window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to our generation, we're young, so they say, oh, your PTSD is going to get better. And especially if you hit a high rating, I think they think like you're going to take the money and run. So 5 years goes down the line and now you don't have medical records. And so they say, hey, let's check you out again. You have nothing to back you.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can write whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise when they're reevaluating you, it's not to try to give you a higher percentage.
Of course.
You know, they're trying like hell to figure out how to drop you. And the scary part is when you see something like that, they usually drop you pretty low. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they can absolutely do it. Like, you're solid after 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, 10, you're pretty safe. 20, you're absolutely safe unless there's some kind of lie in there where, you know, you were never deployed or something. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you'll see them. They can screw with you, and they screw with you in some wild ways. The one that you see more than anything when it comes to dropping claims is cancer issues. The moment you have surgery or they say it's in remission, the VA believes you're 100% cured. Mm-hmm. You know, so that 100%, that 70% drops to 10. And you want to talk about affecting someone's life, that's a massive hit, you know, and especially when you're talking about cancer and you're at this point in this society, you should assume that somebody in everybody's family had it, mm-hmm. whether it was you or someone else. So like you should be able to understand the severity of that. And to say that, oh, remission means cured is like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen remission happen and then it came back like hard.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you're talking, was that person stressing the whole time? Yeah. Worried about is it coming back? You know, like how did it affect all the other body parts, you know, when you went through chemo or you went through surgery? Mm-hmm. Like there's residuals that are big. Yeah. But the VA says, oh, you're fine. You don't have a prostate anymore. So, you know.
So ratings can add up to 170%. Why would somebody get compensated for 50%?
For 50?
Like, you know, I hear this a lot. They rated me for, you know, 17 different things, and it all adds up to 600%, but I only got 40%.
Yeah, so, like, the best way I've heard it described is that it's a cascading scale. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like cutting an inch in half. So the first time you walk in, they say you're a 100% whole person, you know. And let's say they give you 50% for your headaches. Now the VA says there's only 50% left of you. Mm-hmm. So you turn around, you file for your PTSD or something, and they give you another 50. And so according to our math, that's 100%. But really that new 50% only goes to the 50% that's left of you. Mm-hmm. So now that you only really got 25% out of that. You know, so now you're at 75, which they'll round it up to 80, but you're not hitting that 100, you know? And so that's where the unemployable comes in. Is because some of these guys, they have a lot of issues, but like your knees, your back, your joints, they're usually 10s and 20s on average, 40 if you're lucky, but then you're talking about severity of like, how lucky am I? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Lucky is a relative word.
Right. And so like, when it comes to that, I think it's harder for guys to get to that 100% even though you're really jacked up. Yeah. And so that's where the unemployable comes in to help get you to that 100% pay rate, even though you can't necessarily hit it with their skills. Yeah.
And that's actually being fought against.
They got knocked down on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, recently?
Yeah. Okay. Because they were trying to kill off the unemployable for somebody like 62 and older, which is 100% BS. Because, like, what I've noticed when it comes to veterans is, like, you either have an issue that really affects you from your ability to work, or you become some kind of a workaholic. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. But if you become that workaholic, eventually you're going to retire. And when you retire, now you could think. And when you think, all that BS comes back. So even like when President Obama cleared the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, I was getting so many gay vets from like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s that they were recalling all this stuff coming back from their experience, you know, because it was on the news now. Mm-hmm. And same thing when it came to the Korean War and the World War II guys, when they started seeing our war on the news, it brought up their stuff. Mm-hmm. So even though you were this guy who's working his whole life and doing all these things, this stuff kicks back in. Oh, yeah. Like, I promise you, I've talked to guys who are over 100 years old, and they could tell you exactly what happened.
It's similar to, you know, it's funny you say that, because I've never actually put it in perspective or words like that, right? But thinking about it, if if the layman thinks about when you were 4 years old and you got in that bicycle accident,
right?
If you can remember that, and you're a 63-year-old man, or you're a 35-year-old guy, and you're telling me a story about, you know, when you got popped on the football field, you know,
right,
and lost your breath, it's the same mindset, and you have to understand that, like, being in a place of war is a little more. It burns on the brain.
Oh, a little
stronger.
Yeah,
you know?
And I think it clicks in. So, like, even though you're like, oh, you know, I was in Vietnam 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's still gonna hit you.
Yeah.
You know,
especially as, like, these movies now that come out, they're like,
oh my God,
they're very, like, vivid, and they're, you know, like, I'm blessed to not have been in situations like that.
Right.
But I can imagine that,
I can't handle them. Yeah, I don't watch those war movies. Yeah. Like, there was a cop movie that Jake Gyllenhaal played in. You know, it was a cop movie around here.
Yeah,
you know, where he was around LA and stuff. And me and my brother were watching it, and I didn't realize how bad I was getting in the zone. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple scenes where he's, like, running between buildings, and, like, I swear to God, my hand was on your shoulder, like, following, you know? And my brother's like, what the hell's the matter with you? And you look, and my hands were sweaty as shit, you know? And I was there. I was right behind you. I was, like, making sure no one was coming behind you. And, like, dude, it was weird.
Yeah.
But, like, I was in it. And I thought I was okay because it was a cop movie.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, oh, this isn't military.
Well, people don't understand.
Like,
here's the deal. People absolutely do not understand the power of the brain. Like, you can go on to day-long conversations about how strong our imagination can take us. How strong our memories and just the power of belief. I mean, and that's why it's so hard for me to, like, wrap my brain around how somebody can have a 5-minute conversation and then tell them that they're not depressed, or they're not suffering, or they're not, you know, they're making all this stuff up. I'm like, man, you don't know because you're not living that guy's shoes.
Right. So. And it's hard because, like, you see some guys, like, say, like, you were a cook in Vietnam. Yeah. They'll say, well, you're just a cook, and try to blow you off, you know? And you know, as a Marine, like, your MOS is not your MOS. Mm-hmm. That's just, like, a job you have when everything else is cool. Yeah. You know, like, but I promise you do 1,000 other things. Yeah. And so, like, they don't get the stress, and especially if you're a cook in Vietnam, like, how many bases got overran. Yeah. And your ass is absolutely infantry at that point.
Or even if you're an NCO and you're in charge of, you know, 30 to 300 other guys.
Right. Yeah. You know, like, there is a toll that it takes on your body, like, mentally and physically, and, like, to try to, like, downplay people, I think, is really negative. And when it comes to, like, those outside of, like, medical exams that you're talking about, the thing that bothers me about that, especially around here, is most of them are ran by Lockheed Martin. And the VA's rules, it says that it's supposed to be an unbiased medical opinion. But I don't know, and I don't know if that's just my crazy conspiracy brain for being a vet, but, like, I don't believe that's unbiased when they got military contracts.
Yeah, they're a military contractor.
Yeah, so, like, say I injured myself on your military vehicle. Yeah. And so I say, oh, this vehicle hurt me. And you're like, no, you didn't.
I got you.
You know, because it was the same thing, like, when the Prius, remember the Prius pedals used to stick? Yeah. And what did they say? Oh, your wife don't know how to drive. Bring it to Toyota, we'll look at it. And they say, there's nothing wrong with your car, you're full of it. Yeah. And then eventually they said, oh yeah, there's something there. Yeah. You know, but it had to go from an outside group to do it. But the groups that they send veterans to are Lockheed Martin. You know, that's the QTC and the MSLA. Yeah, these guys are doctors, they don't necessarily work on vehicles, but if your boss is that boss, who are you helping? Yeah. You know, are you making sure the boss is cool with you, or are you taking care of your people? Yeah. You know? And that's where I got lucky when it comes to my bosses, like George Dixon and Bob Saxon, is like, George from the get-go told me, like, your boss is that guy in front of you. And so long as my vet in front of me is happy, and, like, you get all your answers questioned and everything like that, or all your questions answered, and then we're good. You know, so I don't have bosses hanging over my shoulder. Yeah. But, like, when it comes to the medical exams, I firmly believe that there is a bias there. I really do. Yeah. And I don't think they're the greatest medical people that we should be sending our veterans to when it comes to judging. Mm-hmm. You know, like you said, you're looking at this guy for 5 minutes and judging his whole life. Yeah. And it's just whether or not you believe it or not. Yeah. And if you've never been in the military, can you understand what this guy's talking about?
Yeah. So, one thing you've done is seen a ton of people. You said
Yeah.
about 1,000.
I file about
1,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's just filing.
Yeah.
There's many more you see.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest moment of hindsight when it comes to misreading a situation? Because, I mean, you've had to have misread a couple. Go ahead.
I remember one guy came in and he had like a dog tag that was like faded to all hell. And like the older guys have a serial number, you know, they don't have their social.
Yeah.
And the serial number was like 3 digits off, you know, and you're like, nah. And I was like, I don't know if this dude's a vet. And like he was saying he was with the Navy, but he was like over here and all this stuff. And you're like, not feeling right, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, come back and bring your paperwork, you know? And so we filed to go get his paperwork. And sure enough, he comes back about a month later and here's all his stuff, you know? And the thing when it comes to my job is I'm not supposed to be judging anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I'm supposed to help.
Yeah.
So whether I think you're full of it or not doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's about take care of them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what happened to you in service, but I think when it comes to your disabilities, you should know better than anybody else. And so whether or not it's in your military record doesn't matter either. And when it comes to hindsight, I think the biggest thing that I've learned when it comes to the VA, it's the sad part of it. It's not necessarily about the truth of what happened. It's what you can prove. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the obstacle we have is can you prove it? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just sometimes it's hard to prove.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you always give that person the benefit of doubt no matter how wild that story is. Like, you're trying like hell to believe it.
I'm sure you've heard some wild ones.
Yeah. I've definitely heard ones where you're like, kind of doubt it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I talked to one guy that...
Like, that one changes every time you're at the VFW drinking.
Or like, yeah, right? Like, now you're trying to blow it up bigger than who you are. And, like, I promise, like, I tell people all the time, like, if there was, like, 10,000 books written about the Iraq War, none's going to be written about my unit. You know, so, like, I'm not the special, like, thing at all.
Yeah.
I just believe in my people, you know, and I've seen the struggle for myself, and I've seen what I believe are, like, far greater, far more honorable people than I'll ever be struggle. And so, like, I think take care of them.
Yeah.
When you see an error in life like that, you have to kind of stand up for something. And so whether it's you're by yourself or not, you have to. That's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And I think as vets, we're kind of used to like standing up when it comes to like that opposition, regardless of how big it might be, you know. And I really believe like you just got to do it. Like whether or not you die from it, like you have to stand for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You got to do what's right. Like, and that's what it's all about, is just take care of these people, because like they actually earned it. They really did. And to sit there and try to downplay them, I think, is just the most disrespectful thing in the world. Yeah. And I think when it comes to the VA, is like if you keep picking on veterans and not being able to help them properly, then how do you convince others to join? Mm-hmm. You know, like how like it would be hard for you to tell your son you should join the military if you know he's not going to get help if something happens to him and nobody cares. Yeah. You know? But if everything's taken care of and you know when he gets out of the military he's going to have medical, he's going to have college, then maybe it's all right, you know?
Which brings up a good segue to this question, right? Is there anything that vets should keep an eye out for under this or any future presidential administrations?
I think you should always pay attention to the changes. Like, President Trump says he's really about veterans, and so I think we got to give him the shot and see what he does. But then when it comes to like how the unemployable claim was trying to get shot down for our older vets, our group stood together, not just the DAV, but DAV, American Legion, you know, the VFW, they all stood together as one and said, this shit ain't gonna fly. Yeah. And it got killed. It got killed quick. Yeah. You know, and so regardless of who the president is, I believe we still gotta pay attention. We still gotta be vigilant and pay attention to what's going on and who are we putting in charge.
Now, how can we get vets to pay attention? Where should they be looking at?
I think like you said, like the Marine Times, the Army Times, and all those little things. I think there's a website called hadit.com, and it's just veterans talking about veteran stuff. You know, all those little things. Like, you don't want to fall on those little clickbait BS, you know, things on Facebook, but talk to vets. And there is 1,000 rumors out there, And that's why you want to look past it, not just, oh, my buddy told me this, but ask him who.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, even when President Obama was in there, everybody's like, he's taking our guns. Like, what bill is that?
Yeah.
Who else signed off on it?
Yeah. Nobody
has an answer.
They're still saying that. Like,
yeah.
Somebody in Arkansas is still in their bunker right now.
It's still, you know what I mean? And so instead of just feeding into the BS, take a second to look.
Yeah.
You know, if a president's going to do something, there's a bill that has a number, that has a title.
Yeah.
You could look into this. You know, it's not hard. Go talk to your congressman. Like, over here we have Tony Cardenas, and, like, I've witnessed this guy sit down and talk to vets and say, what's going on? What should we change? And he talks to vets, and it's not just the dudes in the suits with the high rank or the high titles. He's talking to dudes like me and you, you know, and that's what I respect out of him, is, like, you could talk to these people. They're not these imaginary things that just go vote. You know, like, they're real people that we can talk to, but we can't be shy about it. You have to get off your ass and go talk. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the city councilman, there's the board of supervisors, there's all these different people around here. Like, we have the San Fernando Valley Veterans Employment Committee. There's a big committee in College of the Canyons. USC has a great committee. Like, there are people trying to figure things out, and I think you stick with those groups and you stick to each other. Because if it's just me and you BSing at a bus stop, the odds are we might have something wrong. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking to a group of people that are about it, we could probably get closer to a real truth. Yeah. You know, and that's what it's trying to do, is, like, figure out the real truth, because it's hard to find truth in it with a capital T, but you want to get there as best as you can. Yeah. You know, and it's not just because of your beliefs, it's about the truth.
So with that being said, I put out on Facebook and to my little community that you're coming and having this conversation.
Yeah.
And there was 2 questions primarily that wanted to be asked, both surrounding VocRehab. And the first one was, do you do a lot of VocRehab?
A little bit, yeah. I'm under VocRehab right now for the law school.
Oh, this is a side note. Yeah. I'm on VocRehab for my master's.
Okay, yeah.
But when I went in there, I said I wanted sports psychology, and he's like, here's 48 months, right? And I was like, man, that's great. That's going to take me through my doctorate. And some months later, I was talking to him. He's like, no. That's not how that works.
Right. Yeah, the moment you get that degree, you're done.
Okay. So the first question was, what new changes are occurring in the VocRehab program?
I haven't really seen any new changes, but one thing that I do see that comes from a lot of vets, especially in Los Angeles, is it gets harder for you to become a social worker. Yeah. And it gets harder for you to try to do acting or anything like in the film industry. Just because VocRehab doesn't believe that it's a sustaining job. And the thing with social work is that it's becoming incredibly flooded. You know, with a lot of veterans are getting into social work. So that's another reason I believe that, like, our generation's going to do something. Yeah. You know, whether it's just 4 of us that pop out of this whole community, somebody is going to do something pretty damn massive. But I think when it comes to the overall VocRehab, it really hasn't changed. I think it just gets harder where you're at. And when it comes to LA, you see a lot of guys wanting to do social work and film and television, and that gets harder to get approved. Yeah.
So the social work is getting harder to prove.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that I've been giving the advice because of what I've been kind of going through, is that to put the occupation you want. Right. Right. And so that's how, because my buddy who asked me to ask some of these questions, he just got into USC. Right. In their social work program. Yeah. Because he wants to be a social worker, right? Not that he wants to get his bachelor's in psychology. Right. So that was the key benefit that helped him get to that point. But they're going to stop that. That's what you're saying.
No, if he's granted already.
Well, I'm saying in the future.
But yeah, like other guys, like if me and you try to jump in on it now, there's a good shot they would deny you. And then thing with the social work, especially for your buddy, is like, one, you could ask any social worker, a bachelor's degree means nothing in social work. Mm-hmm. You need a master's just to get your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. And so for him to get a job and VocRehab to help him get employment, he needs that master's degree. You know, where if you just say, I want to like go back to school and learn like some computer job or get a certificate, once you get that certificate, you're done. Yeah. You know? And so you definitely want to pick something that's going to put you to a higher level. And that's one reason I did law. It was like, because I want to help out people and I don't want to be told how to do it or what to do, you know? And so they helped me at that. And so that helped me because like a bachelor's degree in law does nothing.
Yeah.
You know? And so you have to get that juris degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm still trying to figure out the second question. I wish I'd written it down. It was in passing. But it revolved around there being changes to the VocRehab program.
Yeah, I can't.
Come like January.
I don't remember seeing anything come through. Anything when it came to VocRehab. Cause
I have failed you, listeners.
I'm gonna have to look into it though. But from what I remember, I haven't seen anything really change with VocRehab. I think they're hiring more people because those guys are like incredibly swamped. You know, I think each VocRehab counselor around here has like damn near 100 people.
Well, I think that's what that's what it revolved around. Something about
it's hard to get in contact with them.
Yeah, because it's so long in the whole process, and if you get sent back, then you're not going again. And
well, I think when it comes to that, like the biggest thing is I always tell people, no matter what you're doing with the VA, try to do it in the morning and try to do it in person.
Yeah,
you know, because if you talk to the counselor in person and you become human, then it's easier to help that person. But if you're just some paperwork, then who cares about paper? And so I think that's the part of the problem when it comes to claims. It's easy to deny paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's hard to deny the dude when he's looking at you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
so I think when it comes to the VA is like, do it in the morning, do it in person, just bite your lip and go with the flow. Because like, I think once you get past, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I think you start to get lazy people. Or you get people that, got cussed out by a vet.
Yeah. And
so now you're just the next person who's going to screw with me.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of like closed up.
Yeah.
And so you want them when they're bright and early because they're going to help you so you get out the door.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to be standing there all day and now it's clogged.
Yeah.
So I think you have better odds in the
morning.
Yeah,
a buddy of mine came to come see you a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
In fact, Rudy G. I call him Mayor Rudy. He's the one who actually told you about the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, hey, man, Joe said he's going to be on the show. I was like, oh, great. And that's why I reached out.
Yeah.
But Rudy said, man, I was there because I told him what you told me. You have to be here like 5:15. Man, he said he was there like 5:15, and he said he was number 3 in line.
Yeah.
Waiting for you.
And that's not bad, really.
Yeah.
Like, he got lucky. That's one of the strangest things that I would have never guessed in a million years is, like, you get guys who get there really early to see me.
Yeah.
And I've gotten guys from other states and other countries, like some of my vets live in like Australia. Like I have like one of my dudes like flew his father out, to come to me. And so like it's hard when you see people like in building 4 and 5, where they house veterans.
Yeah.
And they say like, oh, I can't get to you in time.
Yeah.
And you got like the Las Vegas Police Department coming to see me. And you're like, if those dudes can make it, I think you could walk over here.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like I'm thankful that people are appreciating what I'm trying to do, but yeah, I would have never guessed that in a million years that it would be like that, and that's why I always tell guys, like, if say you're on that lower end of that list, you go back, you go do what you got to do, take your kid to school, whatever, and come back. I won't cross you out, but like, yeah, that is so strange. And like the hard part I have is like, I don't think my bosses really see the severity of the need, because it's easy to say, oh, we do so many claims as a group and everything, but the pure need of when somebody has to wake up 3 a.m. just to get to me, and I get to work at 7.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it, but I understand it, and I'm hoping like I could. That's my biggest desire. Like, I want to teach people how to do basic claims.
Yeah.
Like the hard stuff.
But you have to understand, and this is in conversation.
Yeah.
Teaching people to do basic claims, you can teach 700 people.
Right.
Right. My buddy, I did a lot of work in Canada. A lot of work. Right. And I stopped working as a military contractor like 2 years ago. I haven't been in Canada since like, who cares? Long time.
Yeah.
My buddy still goes out there for work, and they're always like, how's Rob? Where's Rob? Rob should come up here, right? And so he and I talk, and he's like, man, it's really how people remember how you treat them.
Right.
Right? People remember that you made them feel good and that you care and you're compassionate, right?
Right.
You can teach 1,000 people how to fix a radar. You can teach 1,000 people how to write a claim. But it's who you are that keeps bringing them back, right? Like how this whole conversation first started, word of mouth.
Right.
You can't teach the genuine compassion that you have. And that's why, you're, I mean, I in this conversation right now, we haven't had a conversation except I think we
like quick little in and out.
Hey man, are you going to be here tomorrow? Kind of thing. You know? And, other than that, you're not my VSO.
Right.
But people remember how you treat them, and they'll remember that forever and ever and ever. Yeah, it's a testament to you. It's really an honor to. Let me not use the word honor. I mean, maybe it's an honor to you, but it's really just a testament. It's a statement that speaks about who you are, and it's going to take you far. And maybe that's kind of going back to the coalition of merging the VSOs.
Right.
They just need the Dr. King type to come up and be humble and lead from the front.
Right. And no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I do think it comes from no matter what you do in life, I think it has to come from an honest perspective. Because I think when you see falseness, or if you even feel it, your body kind of tells you.
Oh yeah.
You no matter if you're just talking to somebody on the phone, for customer service or whatever, if someone cares, you get it, and if they don't, you kind of feel that. And so I think you don't need to BS somebody and say "Hello, sir, how can I help you today?" Because it's so
say
generic.
that with a smile.
They
can hear your smile, Joe.
I bet. Because I was at Enterprise the other day, and I was some dude answered the phone, and he said something it's a beautiful day to work at Enterprise, and you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Come on,
you're
dude.
in credit card debt,
Yeah,
it's raining outside.
It's I can't do that. I know your bosses want you to say stuff like that, but that's so disingenuous. I think if you just answer the phone hey, what's going on? How can I help you?
Yeah.
Cool, man. This is the dude I need.
Yeah.
But when you see that stuff, that's why I think with the suits, I think it's an idea. When you wear a suit, you want to believe that you're on another level of status or something. And that proves your intelligence and proves your worth. And it's that's all BS, dude. I really believe that your actions speak. Because I tell people I really am a shy dude. But let your actions speak. And people will see that and people will accept it, whether it's good or bad. Because if, say you pick on me, then I know, go left, Yeah. And I tell people all the time, maybe me and you disagree about every single thing across the board. But if me and you are coming from honest perspectives, I know if I ask you something, I'm going to get a true answer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a real, perspective of what this is. And at the very least, I could always respect that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just getting somebody saying, oh, man, you're awesome, whatever, then you turn into, Kim Jong-un and can't see reality for nothing. And so, you got to, check yourself and, try to be true. I tell guys, no one's looking for saints, we all have our flaws, but just be real about it.
Yeah.
Don't be shy about what's going on in life, because when you start talking, then you see other people been there too, and hopefully you find a guy who's been there 20 years ago and he could tell you what road to take.
Yeah. And that's what this is, right? That, the book was my story, but that's why I'm bringing other guys who've been down that road.
And it's just trying to make some effort, because the same thing with the little podcast I do is we started it, we didn't really promote it at all. We still don't really promote it. But people find it and people look into it. I had a lady, she was listening to it in Washington, D.C. where she was living. And then she moved down here to be with her son. And she looks at the little photo on the door in my office and she goes, "You're that guy from that podcast." And you're like, what the hell? And so she was listening to it when she was filing her claim in D.C. And then she just happened to run into me here. And you're like, who in the hell found that? Because, you could get people around here might find it, but somebody in another state, why would you care who I am?
Mm-hmm.
But, if one person gets something out of it,
mm-hmm.
then cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
And, even if they say, oh, that podcast sucks, and so that encourages you to do a better one, I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Handle it. But I really think, all those little bricks matter, because, even when you look at somebody like Beyonce, it has to be all these people before her for somebody to be this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she had to learn from everything behind her.
It's fun
to get there.
It's funny you brought that.
You know?
I talk to my wife all the time. I'm like, Beyonce owes everything to Destiny's Child. She just shat all over them. She just left them in the dirt, and they're poor now. She's no, Kelly's doing. Anyway,
yeah,
that's off topic.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like
1,000%. I know exactly what you mean.
Like, yeah, if it wasn't for like Little Richard, if it wasn't for like all these guys, then she wouldn't be as massive as she is.
Yeah, yeah.
But all those little bricks matter.
Yeah.
And so, like, maybe this is the podcast that blows up and everybody thinks it's bigger than Howard Stern, or maybe somebody says, I could do that 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just you do the best you can, and hopefully somebody gets something out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of not anything we do in life.
It's just one life.
Yeah.
That you have to touch.
Right.
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 Because just like you were saying with the 15-year-old, you know, you're sending to college, or 15 years later, you get that heart surgery from.
Right.
You know, it's like, man, thank God.
Right.
Thank God that I was there for that person.
Yeah. And so, like, is it real? Am I really like just helping you, or am I helping myself? You know, like, so I don't think it's always like purely altruistic or anything. Like, I do think like when you help others, you certainly get something out of it. Because I feel good when I go home. Like, even when like I've been denied like a higher position with the county a few times now. Like, I was joking with my wife saying like I'm like Jim Kelly. You know, like, you're there, but not good enough, you know? But, like, it doesn't bother me. You know, it doesn't hurt my feelings or nothing. I don't, like, resent, you know, anybody who, like, whoever made the final decision. I don't even know. Yeah. But, like,
it's not, you know, like, it's not like when you lost that job at the wine.
Yeah, well, that, oh, dude. To realize you lost to that guy, like, you know, like, oh, man.
It's not like that at all.
No. Like, that one, I think, like, the Gallo one sticks with me. You know, like, I'm not vindictive, but like, oh, I just want to know why. Like, what did I do? Like, you know, like, you looked at me and this dude, and you're like, that's the better bet. You know, like, I don't know. Like, but yeah, like, I do think it's just you try your best effort and just see what happens, you know, and let the cards fall where they fall. And so, like, for whatever reason, it didn't click. Yeah. But I'm still good because, like, I still get I have a decent job. I'm not stressing over the electricity bill. I get to hang out with, like, incredible people. And what else would you want to hang out with? You know, like, there's so many incredible people that you run into and you learn from them. Yeah. And, like, you kind of become a little bit of a soul catcher, you know? So, like, each and every one of these people, they absolutely leave a mark on me. Mm-hmm. And you hope like hell you never disappoint them. Because, like, your boss could get mad at you, that's cool. But, like, if I disappointed one of my clients or one of my vets, man, like, that's heartbreaking. You know, because, like, you hope that their time, like, if you're waking up 5 in the morning, 3 in the morning to get to me, I really hope that it's worth your time. You know, like, I don't want to waste your time. Like, there's a million other things we could be doing. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm sure you could be with your kids, like, 5 minutes more in your life than you could have, you know? And so, like, I hope that it's worth it. I really do. And so, I don't care, like, you never see, like, vets arguing with me. Like, you'll see vets cussing out VA workers or, like, other service officers every once in a while. But you really don't see that with me because, like, 1, I simply don't have the time to argue with somebody. And 2, I'm not really there to, like, debate. I'm really there to help. Mm-hmm. You know, so, like, guys get it, and so I don't really get the angry people too much. And like, and usually when I get the angry guys, they're angry about the VA or something like that, but not necessarily you. Yeah. You know, not something you did personally. Yeah. And so you could understand that. Yeah. You know, so like sometimes some guys have to blow off some steam, and that's all good. You know, because we've been in the military, you've been cussed out before. Like, it ain't gonna hurt. Yeah. You know, so like let this dude like vent a little bit, and then we get back to work. Yeah. Like, it's all good.
Always my go-to is to hug it out,
you know, like like
people just come in just hot, I just go in with open arms and like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, just embrace it, bro. Just, and that always is. I mean, it isn't always, but you know, you gotta like, read the room.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think that's the thing too with the military is like you kind of have a good sense of who you're dealing with or who's that guy walking down the street type deal. Yeah, and you're hoping that you hit it right, you know. but most of the time you kind of got a good vibe on people, and like I don't necessarily value my own life. Like I'm really valuing others. So like you beat me up, whatever, like like that's all right. But like I really hope like you help somebody, and so when you find somebody at this position when you first meet them, and like a year or two later or 6 months later, and you see them at this higher level, it's the coolest thing in the world. Because like I've said, I've seen guys like that came out of like the VOA on Sunset, and I know what it's like when you lose everything and you say like, I don't know how in the hell am I going to get out of this, and all of a sudden you see this guy who has a better job than you and he's making more money than you, and like he has a family now, and you're like, that's so awesome, because like they don't owe me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to remember my name.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it's just cool that like I have a job that's able for you to do that. Like you don't have to say thank you. You could like get your 100% and say that dude did nothing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got what you deserve. So like that's all good. Like.
Well, that leads me into my next question, the one that's gonna kind of start wrapping the thing up, and that's, what's your best or favorite success story?
I don't know. All of them. I'm always thankful when it goes through, because I'm always worried that it's going to get denied. And I don't know. Like, there's so many, like, great stories. And, like, yeah, there's some that hit, like, high money-wise, for back pay. And I've seen some guys that just got like the little 0% and their kids go to college and they're happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I don't think it matters about percentage wise or how much money you're getting or something like that. I think it's just, where's that guy coming from and what do we got to do to get him to that next level that he's looking for, And I think when it goes through, it's the greatest thing ever. Cause like when somebody emails me or comes in and goes, dude, I hit this, and you're just like, hell yeah, like that came through. And you're just so thankful, like, or when you have to fight the VA over something that you just, like, I firmly believe is real, and you're just like, no. And you'll see, like, when I'm writing, like, disagreements, it's me, like, this is BS, and, like, I can't believe you guys did this to me, like, like, you could see, like, it's, like, it bothers me,
yeah.
It's not, like, I could see, like, you're like, oh, it's all right, dude, we'll figure it out, and I'm like, no, F these people, like, I really try to, like, when it goes through, it's the greatest thing ever. It really is. And like, and when I see like, say like your kids, like I've seen some of my guys' kids start like get that college waiver and they come back and they're like, dude, I just got done with my master's or something like that. And you're like, that's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like one of my kids, cause like I hang out with an artist and I, do murals around here and, or I used to. I haven't done it so much since I've been doing law school, but, go to all the art shows and stuff like that, and one of my kids was going to San Diego, and for I think he wasn't doing art, he was doing something different, like some different degree, but he came to me and waited in line the whole damn day just to hand me a little painting that he did, of a little pink bunny, and that pink bunny is on my wall, and it'll be on my wall till I die, and it's next to like all these other artists that you see from like like that Banksy movie from like like Exit Through the Gift. Yeah. So like right in the middle is that pink bunny, and then all these other little artists that you might think are bigger or whatever, but like that's incredibly valuable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it was just this little pink bunny that this dude was playing with. He wasn't really trying to push anything, but it was this way of saying thank you, and like he sat there all day just to hand me that, and you're just, that's beautiful. Like it's really just incredible, and like there's no way I would ever give anything like that up. Even if I became homeless again, like guarantee that's hiding in my teepee or wherever I'm at. Like
the fact that you would have a teepee.
Yeah, right. Oh, like I got my dog a teepee, and so that's where all his toys are. But yeah, like I think anytime a claim goes through and you see like the smile and the relief, or when some vet says, like I went to all these other organizations and you're the only one that helped guide it through. Like I'm thankful of it. I really am. And like so I think the success stories, like each and every person I get to come in contact with and try to help, Like, even when it comes to bad discharge upgrades and you see that come through and now that guy's getting his college money back, you know? It's very cool.
Do you have hands-on in that?
With the...
Changing discharges?
Yeah. It all depends on, like, the story and circumstance. But I definitely try to help those guys get... And I do believe I figured out a way to give you better odds.
Uh-huh.
You know, like, you know better than me, like, Marines are a little more stubborn than the others when it comes to, like, changing things. But I seem to have found a way to have a little bit more success with that, I think. And so when you see that come through and, like, now that guy gets his benefits back, even if it's just medical, there's that relief that you see in their face, you know, and that, like, thank God kind of moment. Mm-hmm. And that's the cool thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you, like, you're always just trying to help somebody in any which way. Sometimes it's just simply giving a dude a ride. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's just handing a dude an envelope so he can mail something out.
And sometimes that's all it takes, man. Yeah. To change, I mean, you know. Yeah. You have no idea what you do on a daily basis that helps change somebody's life. And for the better or worse, you know.
Yeah, and you're always trying to, like, hopefully, like, you know, when everything's said and done and you're, like, on your deathbed, and hopefully if you get a chance to look back, hopefully you could look back and say I was on the right side of history.
That's right, man. Hey, yeah. That's 1,000% correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the generic questions that I start wrapping everything up with. And so the first thing is, what would you tell vets who are struggling to find themselves today?
One, get connected, whether it's through a group like the DAV, VFW, you know, American Legion, but start talking to each other and don't be shy about it. Because, like I said, like, whether you're homeless, whether you don't look good or you're dirty or whatever the hell your background is, like, start talking, man. And if you run into somebody that starts to, like, give you BS and you don't dig them, just be thankful he showed that he's an ass, and, like, find somebody else.
Yeah, that he didn't waste any more of your time.
Yeah, you know, so, like, I always, like, because I know you'll hear, you know, oh, the VA sucks, and it's really not the VA, it's that one individual you ran into. Yeah. But I promise that I've ran into some incredibly caring people that worked at the VA, that still work at the VA, that are trying like hell to help people in incredible ways, even beyond what their jobs are. And you just got to run into those. Yeah. You know, so like when you run into somebody that says screw off or you don't deserve nothing, go find somebody else. Yeah. Because I really believe, I don't care what you did in the military, you can get some kind of benefit from it, because almost everything we've done, regardless of what your job is, you're either around something loud or you've been in a stressful incident at some point. Mm-hmm. You know? And then there's all those little things like your knees and your back or whatever. And so I do think you just got to connect, and you got to make that effort. Like, I know it's hard as hell, because like I've had that depression where you can't get out of bed and your body's just like no dice. You know, like that day's done already. And I get that. But the moment you get that moment to get up, and the moment you say, you know what, something's got to change, and start trying, you know, but it's always one step forward. Yeah. Like, whether it's a mile or an inch, as long as you're going forward, you're going to get there.
That's right. And outside of what you would tell people struggling, what is the best advice for transitioning?
Realize that it's a different world. One of the bigger things that I seen was like, my best friend is Brian. He's a year older than me. And when I got out of the military, our perspectives of life were just incredibly different. Mm-hmm. And I was only in for a short time. Mm-hmm. You know, so the majority of the other guys that you run into, you probably served more time than I did. Mm-hmm. And if it affected me that way, then it sure as hell is going to affect you. And so I think you got to realize it's a different world. You may not get the respect you think you deserve, or you may not get the job you think you deserve. But the major thing is, like, pride doesn't feed you. And so I think you got to do what you got to do. So, like, if McDonald's is the only one hiring you, then accept it, you know, and so you get something in your pocket, so you're not struggling as hard, but keep at it for that better job, and trying to better yourself and see what this all means, because like it takes you a while to figure out, I think, what did that experience mean to you, you know, and where do you go from here? Because there is like this massive gap of like, did I do the right thing getting out, you know, and you never really know. But you try the best of what you have. And I think, yeah, I really think it's just about being true to yourself and don't fall into anybody else's BS, you know? So, like, if all your friends are a bunch of jackasses and you fall back in that circle, then of course you're going to fall in the same hole, you know? And so you got to realize that you certainly are a different person now, and you're on a different level, whether it's higher or lower, and go from there. But I've talked to guys who are blind. I've talked to guys who don't have legs, and they're more incredible than I am, you know? And so, like, it doesn't matter where you land when you get out. You just got to realize this is where I'm standing and this is where I want to go.
That's where you were placed.
Yeah. And now you got to, like, because all you need is an A to B point, you know, so you know where the A is. So where's your B? Yeah. And once you find that B, start going. But don't let people knock you off that path. Yeah. You know?
I want you to have a chance to plug your podcast, because it's my first time hearing about it. And, you know, if you're out there spreading the knowledge, then that's what's good. Yeah,
so, like, there's a podcast that's on Apple, and it's called Vet to Vet, and it's all, like, individual little things, so each little episode is, like, you know, whatever little topic we're talking about, and people seem to really be digging it, and I hope, you know, somebody gets something out of it. And if you go on YouTube, it's called Veto Vet, because someone took Vet to Vet, and so if you type in Veto Vet, you'll see it.
VETO?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the most you'll probably ever see me talk, really. You know, because I don't talk very well, like especially if you're like, hey, can you go do a speech or something? Yeah. Like, my speech is like 3 minutes, you know, if I'm lucky, you know, it's like, I'm Joe, I do benefits, what you need. Yeah. You know?
It's funny, Kirk Chief Johnson, right? Well, the guy who gave me this pen, he was like, oh, that was a great speech when I accepted this. And I go, this is dead man talk, you can't tell anybody. I know I'm about to publish this, but I go, you can't tell anybody this. He goes, what's up? I go, that was my first time ever doing public speaking. Yeah. Outside of being a coach, you know, like.
Yeah, so at least you got the vibe, but, like, most of the time for me, it's one-on-one, you know? Yeah. But, like, when you see, like, 5, you know, people or more, then it's like, Yeah. You know, so it's, like, it's hard for me to, like.
You start getting the hyperhidrosis going on.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. But, like, it's always hard to explain what I do, because, like, it's like, you never know what that guy needs until he comes in, you know? Yeah. And so sometimes it's like, I need help with child support. Sometimes I need help with food. Sometimes I need clothing, you know? And so it's like, okay, let me think of this. And then your little Rolodex in your head starts flipping out. Yeah. And then you start figuring it out. But, like, until you ask me, I really don't think of it, you know? And so, yeah, like, it's kind of funny. But, yeah, like, so I don't know. Yeah.
Now, you know, the ideal thing is that 500,000 people will listen to this, and then 500,000 people will say, I want to reach out to him. If you get 500,000 emails, are you going to be okay with that? Can people reach out to you?
Yeah, email's best bet. I'm horrible with phones, and I tell everybody in the world that. And that's not just work, that's just home life. Yeah, you could ask my mom, like, how well I answer the phone. Like, it has nothing to do with any individual. Like, I just, you know, you text me, I could respond back, but, like, you call me, I'm like, Yeah. But my email is josephjsapien@gmail.com. And so it's JOSEPH, the letter J for my middle initial, SAPIEN @gmail.com. And you could write to me and ask me anything you want, and I'll try to give you the best advice that I have. Yeah. If not, I'm normally at Sepulveda VA in Building 22. And I'm also, as of last night, I'm the DAV commander for Chapter 13.
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Where's Chapter 13 at?
Sepulveda.
Okay.
Yeah, in Building 22. Okay. Yeah, on Thursdays.
I'm over
in the pool.
Woodland Hills.
Yeah, like where that guy came in with the shotgun.
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's the one.
It's the bar. Yeah, Lee.
Yeah.
Lee's the commander.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go in that bar right there. Yeah. And on the far right, like if you're facing the bar, on the far right, you'll see a painting on the wall that has a hole in it. That's where the shotgun went off.
What?
Yeah. It was either the shotgun or the tear gas when the guys went to go get his ass.
What happened?
Some weirdo. Like, you gotta talk to Lee.
I will.
Yeah, but it's a wild story, though. Like, and yeah, I don't think the dude was a vet at all. It was just some dude that had a shitty day. Yeah. Yeah.
and he had to walk that long ass parking lot to get.
I guess, man. Like, yeah, like
it's a long parking lot.
Yeah.
To be disgruntled.
Yeah, right. Like, determined and delusion at the same time, right? Like, but yeah, you'll see that painting should still be on the wall.
Yeah, I'll go look for it.
Yeah,
but man, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. It was even better than I had even imagined it would be.
Oh yeah.
Man, like I knew I knew people respected you, but I can completely see why now.
No,
so humble, you're I mean, you just the full package.
Yeah.
So,
and I really believe it's take care of each other,
yeah.
you know. One person at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually you'll see that ripple behind.
So, I hope that
yeah, I hope somebody gets something out of it. And,
well, I was going to say I hope that the lawyering man takes off. I mean, I wish the best for you in your future endeavors. And so and if I can do anything to help you out,
no, I appreciate
absolutely
it.
just text away.
Yeah, and
I'm not answering your phone calls either.
Yeah, I'll usually text people too. Like, but yeah, like if you ever need me, let me know, because like it's never a problem, you know. And I always try to stay busy on purpose, but like there's always time.
Yeah,
you know, there's always.
I'm similar.
Yeah, everybody can always do a little bit more than what they're doing now. Yeah, so there's always time.
Well, with that being said, Joe, thanks again.
Oh yeah,
and if you've stuck. This is going to be a two-parter, but if you've stuck around and listened to the whole thing, man, I hope you pulled something from it. I guarantee you've pulled something from it. I guarantee it. And if you have any questions for Joe, reach out to Joe. Reach out to me if you need Joe's contact information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything that we talk about will be on the show notes, and really just pay it forward by telling somebody that this episode specifically is out there for them to get at. And to tune into Vet to Vet on iTunes. So, with that being said, I'll tell you this. I say with that being said like 400 times before I end. Like if you go to each of my podcasts, I can't get out of it. Like with that being said. So with that being said,
they're the safe words, you know.
It's the worst, man. Yeah. I never know how to end these, but with that being said, no. Yeah, man. I wish you the best, and I hope that everyone listening to this pulls something and passes it forward to somebody who needs to hear it.
Yeah. Take care of each other.
And take care of each other. So, all right, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Oh yeah.